Hey everyone, this is Fantasy and Frames, the mental health awareness series. We are now on episode 2. Thank you for coming back to us. If you missed episode 1, please check it out on the Fantasy and Frames YouTube channel. Every week we'll be dropping shows Monday morning around 9 a.m. There'll be 10 to 15 minute episodes going over one specific topic to help you with mental health awareness. I am joined by my wife, Megan, who is a licensed mental health counselor. And what topic are we discussing today for episode 2?
We're going to be talking about a coping skill that is really important. It's what I like to call grounding. Grounding is being present in the moment so you can reorient yourself to reality. If you're aware of what's happening as it's happening, then you can intervene before those stressors and triggers you're experiencing spiral out of control.
So that sounds really beneficial. Why don't we hear about people doing this more often?
It's easier said than done. Once you train yourself, it's really simple to do. The best way to go about it is to focus on those 5 physical sensations. Going back to kindergarten, what do you see, hear, feel, taste, and smell? So breaking those down a little bit, when you think of what you see, some people just look at the basics, people, places, objects, but you're going to want to get into details. Colors, shapes, sizes, textures, all of those things can be really important. Also, when you hear music, nature sounds, water sounds, voices, the HVAC running in the background, that white noise, things you feel, not just external, a nice blanket wrapped around me or the cool air blowing in my face, but also internal. What I feel inside affects my emotions. So when I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm in pain, those things are going to make it more challenging for me or for anyone to deal with their emotions. So you have to be aware of the internal and external feelings. Also, smells and tastes are really important as well. You can apply grounding in 2 ways. So the first way is living in the moment and seeing the world as it's happening in front of you. And the second way is seeking out soothing sensations. So when you're stressed or triggered, you can actively cope with those.
So are we not already seeing the world for what it is in the moment?
How many times have you driven somewhere and not remembered exactly how you got there or every sign you passed by on the way? Pretty often. I often tell my clients that they need to see the world in the eyes of a small child. They stop, they notice everything. They don't take life for granted. They want to soak in all the sensations, and they're learning things that we've been seeing so much. We just don't even notice them anymore.
Okay, but how is noticing all of those things a coping skill?
If you're actively in the moment, you can't get lost in distracting thoughts, those thoughts that can lead to depression and anxiety. So for instance, if you're not in the present, you're either in the past or the future. So if you're in the past, you tend to ruminate. So that creates a lot of thoughts that can relate to emotions like depression, anger, resentment. Those are all things that already happened, and you're thinking of how you could have handled things differently or outcomes you wish had happened instead. And then when you're in the future, there's a lot of fear and worry associated with it because you're thinking about all the what ifs or complete hypotheticals or maybe things are coming in the near future.
So basically, grounding is a way for you to break your negative thought cycle so you get into a better headspace. You're able to process whatever thoughts or feelings you are having in that moment.
Exactly. The more present you are in the moment, the sooner you're going to be able to cope with those stressors and triggers. And at that point, you can incorporate that other form of grounding I referenced a few minutes ago, where you're intentionally seeking out those soothing sensations.
So how could someone practice grounding right now if they aren't in therapy to help guide them?
There's this concept called guided imagery, and it's exactly what it sounds. Someone's guiding you through the imagery, the 5 physical sensations, and training your brain of how it's going to look, because you're not just going to sit there and tell yourself, okay, what do I see right now? What do I feel? That's not how we experience the world. So if you actually Google guided imagery, there are hundreds of YouTube videos walking you through and guiding you through the prompts of all the 5 physical sensations of things that are typically soothing. So there's going to be a lot of nature prompts of the beach, the forest, the mountains. You can pretty much find anything. So if you Google or YouTube guided imagery and then a little snippet of what you're looking for, like guided imagery beach, you're going to find a lot of really interesting content there. So they're going to transport you to those places. You're going to be able to understand how grounding works. And once you understand how it works through those soothing sensations and the guided meditation or guided imagery, then you can apply it to your daily life of noticing the world as it's happening around you.
All right. So after you broke it down, it does sound simple in theory, but it will take practice for it to become part of your daily routine.
Correct. It's with counseling, if anything were easy, I wouldn't have a job. So everything takes practice. You have to do things regularly for it to be part of your routine. And once it becomes part of your routine, it's really easy to just do it without even noticing. So it seems like a really basic and simple skill, but it's a foundational skill that is very important in cognitive behavioral therapy.
No, and I think it's great that you are sharing this now. We chose this for episode 2 because you said it is a foundational skill, because once you master grounding, it makes it a lot easier to build off of the other skills we're going to be talking about later this summer. Is that an accurate assessment of how grounding works with this program?
I definitely think so, because if you're not in the moment, you're not going to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what your behaviors are, and you're not going to be able to make that change that you want to make because you don't know what's happening. So you have to be aware and present, and that is when the best therapeutic work and change will happen.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you sharing so much about grounding. I did have one more thing that I wanted to share for those out there that are watching. You might know what Scott Fishbowl is. You might not. Really quick, Scott Fishbowl is one of I would say, the world's largest charity fantasy football league. Last year we had over 3,000. We had exactly 3,000 people in it. It was awesome. We're doing it again this year, and a lot of people apply for it. So those spots are very limited. And Scott Fish is a big proponent of mental health, just like Fantasy and Frames. And he has given us the ability to give away a spot to Scott Fishbowl. So I wanted to go over how you can potentially win your spot in Scott Fishbowl. So let's go through what you need to do. So step 1, we need you to donate at least $5 to one of these 3 organizations. We chose them all because they are helping with mental health awareness in various ways. So the first one is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And the next one is the Faith Fight Finish Foundation, which is Dak Prescott's foundation. And he just won the Man of the Year award for this last year, as well as the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation, which obviously is from Hayden Hurst. So we chose those 3. If you go into the show description on YouTube right now, you can see the links that will take you directly to the donation page. So you just pick whichever one you want, and you're going to click on that. And then we're going to need you to comment on either this episode or episode 3 when that airs on YouTube, just so that way we know that you guys watched the episode. And then step 3, subscribe to the Fantasy and Frames channel on YouTube. We appreciate the support, and it's also a great way for you not to miss any more of these episodes, as we will be doing a total of 14 for this summer. And then finally, step 4, you just need to DM a screenshot of your donation, as well as it showing that you have subscribed to the Fantasy and Frames YouTube channel, and you'll just send that to the Fantasy and Frames account on Twitter. So that's at Fantasy and Frames. Very simple. That will then put you into the random drawing at the end to hopefully win a spot. And I do have to say, you must be eligible to be in Scott Fishbowl 13, as well as you have to already have signed up for Scott Fishbowl 13. If you don't sign up, you can't be in. The submission deadline for this is June 15th at 11:59 p.m. And we are going to announce the winner during episode 4, which will be dropped on Monday, June 19th at 9 a.m. All right. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. We hope you learned something today about grounding. We will be back next week for episode 3, and we will be discussing another coping skill. Again, we're going to be building every episode. So thank you again. Please, again, make sure you subscribe to Fantasy and Frames on our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of this content, as well as the great fantasy and football content the team is putting out almost every day. And I always just like to finish this with that if you are struggling or having suicidal thoughts, then it is important to immediately call or text 988. That is the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and they are available 24/7. So thank you all, and have a good one.